Okay, I wanted to make a quick video so you don't have to wait till next week to get this information. And it's so much easier to talk this than type it. And then you can hear my tone and stuff. So, in talking to people about their proposals, I've had a couple of breakthroughs. And I think I have said some of this stuff before, but basically I'm learning how to say it more clearly to help people understand and sort of, calm their anxieties. So I've had a couple of people express that one of the hardest things about this sort of proposal idea and thinking about their projects is where I ask, how do you want me to evaluate it? Because that's like, you're grading me, you're the teacher, you should know how to grade me. And I think I've figured out how to make this make more sense. And I just want to be clear. I've been saying this all along, but just so we're clear, this is one way to do education. And I don't do my 103 class like this. Some of you have had me in 103. I do aspects of this in 101, but like a lot of times in classes where you need to make sure they get a lot of specific information, a lot of specific training, you can't do this kind of thing. And the reason I'm doing this in a seminar Radical Rhetorics course is because the things that you need to learn are so open and you can learn them in so many different ways, right? When I'm teaching public speaking kids how to do delivery, I teach them delivery. I don't ask them what they want to learn, right? I don't have them design a speech, right? I say, here are the speeches. Here's what we got to do, right? And there's some opening and ideas there, but this is very different because in a lot of ways, we're just trying to explore rhetoric. We're just trying to explore the concepts of radicalness in the US. And of course, we're trying to get you all, especially that last one, right? Develop your own idea of radical rhetoric in the US. What better way to do that than designing your own projects? And right, the reason that you would have somebody design their own project and then design how you might evaluate it is to get that person to think about what they're doing beyond someone telling them what to do. So I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing you've all had assignments that you didn't want to do, and maybe even some that you didn't want to do that you didn't understand why you were doing them, right? And maybe somebody had like justification for why you did this, but you didn't want to do it. It was hard. It was gross. And then I'm also guessing that you've had things that you've done that you were proud of, that you enjoyed, or that you maybe didn't love, but you understood why you were doing it, right? When a teacher assigns things, it's sort of a crapshoot. Will the students feel this way? Oh, I have to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm made to be doing this. Or will they feel this way? I'm enjoying this, etc. And I'm just taking out the guessing work and I'm saying, I want you to explore this, what is rhetoric? What is radical? Develop your own. Go look at the syllabus for those three. I want you to do that while enjoying your work. I mean, a lot of us academics, this is what we eventually do. We stop getting graded. We keep writing articles. We keep researching. We keep teaching. We keep doing the things we love. And no one's grading us. No one's telling you have to do a syllabus like that. You have to do a thing like that. Do you see what I'm saying? We have to develop our own, like, oh, this is good. This works. This is effective, etc. Right? So each project, right, there's a topic and a medium, and you're sort of figuring out what mediums work with what topics. And that process, like I sat with somebody today and we were like, okay, she said, this is what I'm interested in. And then we sat and kind of thought, you could see, I had to like remind her, she was doing okay, but I had to remind her, like, this is this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to sit here and go, and a lot of people are not comfortable in that. But it's an amazing skill, right? To be able to like put things together and critically think like, does this work? Is it better I do it this way, right? So you're learning something just by doing this really frustrating process. Okay, so some of you I think have gotten on board and you're like, I don't really get this necessarily, but I do like that I get to make my own stuff and I get to make my own stuff cool. But then you're like, wait a sec, you want me to tell you how to grade me? What? Okay, so think of it this way. If we're evaluating something, so we think of grading as grading, instructor, grade. But really, grading is evaluating. It's right, like, did I do these skills? Did I, right? Think back to basic public speaking. I think that's the easiest, right? You do the speech. Did you have a thesis? Did you do the research? Did you, right? Like, because that's what I'm trying to teach, right? If you're designing a project, you're also saying, this is what I want to learn. Okay. And this is what that, like, you're the one thinking through, this is what it means to do that enjoyable, effective work, right? And so here's an example of why I ask you to think about how you want your work. So stop thinking of it as an assignment. That's part of the problem, right? Because I mean, it's an assignment, but I think of it as your work, your project, your thing you're doing that you enjoy. Unbelievable, right? And you created it, so we know you're going to enjoy it instead of me creating it, and hopefully you like the topic, right? So you created the thing. And now it's like, how does someone evaluate this? How do we know if you did it effectively? And so what I came up with, and the person I came up with this, they were like, tell everybody this will help, right? Okay, so here's an example. Most papers, right? Most papers that you write have some points allotted to formatting, because that's something we want you to learn. That's something we want you to learn how to do effectively. You need paragraphs, typically. You need decent grammar and spelling correctly, which I'm terrible at. I literally paid people to do my thesis, or to do my dissertation, because I didn't trust myself to not make mistakes. You, right? Like, you want to, the tone, right? Professional writing, typically. So you have all these things in terms of formatting that typically there's points like, how well did you do this, right? Citations, right? Now, let's say you're writing a manifesto. That's a different style of writing. So the question is, do you want points allocated to formatting, style of writing? And if you do, it's probably going to look different. It's probably not going to be paragraphs and grammar and spelling and citations and these sort of formal academic tone writing stuff. It's probably going to be, does this fit the social movement, right? Like, does this style of writing, does this look effective, right? And maybe there are other more important things to evaluate this manifesto on. We don't need any points for formatting. So this is you thinking about, okay, I want to do this thing. I'm excited about this thing. And this is the modality. This is the medium that's best to do it. A paper, a podcast, a popular press article. I mean, when somebody tells me they're interested in something, I almost always can go like, what is it? What is it? Is it a this? Could you do it this way? Could you do it this way? And there's a lot of different ways to do things. A lot of your stuff could be done different ways, but it's about figuring out, like, how does then the work become effective? And remember, if you get lost, go back to the three things. How is this project gonna help me figure out what rhetoric is, figure out what radical is, develop my own idea of radical rhetoric in the US, right? Just take those, put them right on top of your proposal, right? Put them on a stick-it note in your room. And then when you're ever like, what am I supposed to be doing? Mizzo, read those three things. That's all we're doing. So it's rare, right, that a professor goes, I don't care how you do it. Of course I care. Of course I care. So you're thinking about, right? This is my awesome project that I love the topic, passionate, interested in the topic, want to find out more, want to do a thing. Here's the modality. Here's the method in which I'm exploring it, producing it, etc., right? And then you say, okay, how do we know if I did it effectively? What do we want to evaluate this on? What, right? Like, if it's a TED Talk, you're going to want some points on delivery. You're going to want some points on crafting. You're going to want some, do you see what I'm saying? And for each project, you've got 150 points to play with. So you get to say, like, oh, I want most of my points in this, or I want most of my points in that. And then I can come back and say, have you thought about this? This will benefit you more. I think this is going to be more important, or you totally missed this. I think you deserve points. You deserve credit for your background research. You should add that in, right? So, I understand, and I want you to know I understand, and I'm going to start filling in grades that we have, right? That This is weird. Okay, I understand this is weird. And also, the type of education that you are used to is somebody says, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and you got to do d d d d d d d, jump through the hoop. And again, I am not opposed to that. I do that in lots of my other classes. But that doesn't seem to fit a radical rhetorics course, right? You see what I'm saying? So instead of saying, we're going to learn the skills, we're going to learn the things we want to learn by jumping through the hoop, because I could make you all write rhetorical criticism, and that would help you understand what is radical, what is right. That would do it. I could make you all do cultural performances. I would make you all do that modalities assignment. 100%. I love it so much. I'm stealing it for a rainy day, right? But because I know there are other ways you can do it, why not let you do what you want to do? I think one person chose the modalities assignment. So here I would have been assigning that across the board because I love it. I think it's smart. And you're all going, that's not what we prefer to spend our time on if we're excited and do the thing and not the jump through the hoop. I have to do this education. Bleh. Okay, so you've crafted the thing and hopefully you're always going back to like, how is it doing this? How's it doing this? How's it doing this? Because some of your projects, it's like, this is great, but how does it mess with radical stuff? And you're like, oh yeah, I got to rethink that, right? So, and then you're thinking about how you might evaluate this. One of the ways to learn, right, is to have somebody say, here are all the things you have to do, and then you do it, and then you either do it well or you learn because you didn't do it well, and then, right, how many of you have like done things not well, and then like, well, the first time I tried to write a lit review, it was bad, bad, and then I got better, right, practice, and I got better, and they gave me feedback and points and whatever, right? That is definitely one way to do education. But another way to do education is to say, we are experiencing the process. I am teaching you the process. So I am not, I hope, I mean, I suppose that there's a scenario where people just don't keep doing the work, but like some people understood how to do this and they sort of had all the pieces and they filled out all the pieces. And I said, this looks great. Here's some ideas, 50 points. And a lot of you, most of you, didn't do it. you didn't understand, right? Because here I'm trying to explain this, but you've never done this before. So why would I be like, you have to do it right the first time, even though I don't know how to explain it perfectly and you've never done it? So instead, right, it's like, oh, you didn't have a clear enough idea. You didn't really answer these questions. Go back, meet with me. I mean, eventually we're going to get there and eventually you'll get the 50 points. I mean, it's a different style of work, but basically the points are not how well did you do this thing. The points are, did you go through the process to try to understand how to craft work? That's what I want you to learn, right? Because once you learn how to do that, you're doing critical thinking, you're doing evaluative work, like does this work? Is this justified? I mean, rhetorically, I'm not going to spend time on this video telling you all of the ways that benefits you in understanding communication and symbol making, right? I mean, just the act of trying to figure out, there's this thing I want to do, how do I do it? That is rhetorical in so many ways, right? Because you're trying to figure out what symbolic ways do I explore this? What in symbolic ways do I communicate this? It's all amazing. You're doing it, right? And so in a lot of ways, and that doesn't mean there aren't going to be instances in this class where I'm not evaluating you in terms of like, oh yeah, you missed the mark here, especially because if you say, yeah, I want you to do 50 points or 100 points towards my content, and then your content's lacking, and you know it probably. It's like, oh, I missed the mark here. Then you get a, I don't know, then you get a B plus instead of full points, right? But some of this really just is like, did you do the process? That is one way to learn, right? And then I joke, I'm Oprah. You get points, and you get points, and you get points. It's not that grades don't matter. It's that this is a different way to think about evaluation. Are you going through the process to learn this? This shit is hard. And to think that like, I'm going to tell you how to do this and then you do it, that doesn't work. But we get so many benefits from just doing this process of thinking through what you might want to do. And that's what I want to spend my time and energy on. I don't want to spend my time and energy on seeing how well you do the check boxes, because I don't have clear check boxes for this course, or seeing, how well do you turn things in? How well do you write? Like, how well is your citations? How well is your grammar? Those things are very important. They're just not what I want to focus on in this course. I want to focus on critical thinking, right? Evaluation or judgment, ability to like synthesize, analyze, right? And so like all of that stuff, we're practicing really crafting these assignments and thinking about how will they be effective? I don't like the word good, but can you see what I'm saying? Like, how will we evaluate it? How will it be effective? How will it be compelling, right? And you learn so much from doing that instead of me ticking the boxes, and then you get to do what you want. So there's all these benefits, even though it is annoying in a lot of ways and process filled, and some of us are struggle busing. That's okay. I'm going to meet with you. I'm going to keep checking in with you. We're going to get this crafted, right? And does it make sense? That the thing that sort of made the person I was talking to, their head went, right, was this idea of the like, if you've got a manifesto, the formatting, right, is evaluated differently than if you have an analytical paper, than if you have a podcast. I may not have any podcast towards formatting, or the formatting might be framed different, right? Like, did the voice sound, did I stutter? Was I communicating verbally? Did I give my partner that I did the podcast with enough time to speak, right? And I got permission to share this. I was talking to a student about their project, and they want to do a podcast, and they want to do a podcast on She-Hulk. And one of the first things in their proposal was something to the effect of like, and I was reading it while she was sitting next to me, and it was something to the effect of like, I really just want to do a podcast with my best friend, with my friend. And then she was like, but then it was like, if that's not good enough, I can do something different. And I was like, sure, I see why you're saying that. That's education, like that's not a good enough reason. But also I'm like, why wouldn't you want to talk with your best friend about She-Hulk? Like, what a great way to process information and and like think about the things, the themes in this course, right? And then she started geeking out, like, my friend is the one who made me think about She-Hulk in a different way, and they're like blah blah blah, and it's like, they sound like a great person to do this with, right? And I just want to point out that, like, if we're thinking about education for freedom, which is bell hooks. I can send you bell hooks if you want to read this, right? If we're thinking about education for freedom, why wouldn't you want to process with your best friend? Why wouldn't you want to do a project that involves the intelligence of your best friend, and then how you are thinking through that and applying the theories you've read and the research you have and all of that, right? I mean, we can still have all of that fancy calm education stuff, but I just want to get rid of this idea that like, oh, some things are educational and some things aren't. Like, we're not supposed to have fun with our best friend while we're learning. It's like, come on, if I can learn and have fun with my best friend, why wouldn't I? So I'm trying to hop you out of that. This may not feel enjoyable right now, but I'm hoping eventually you really will enjoy, because you're the one sort of creating this awesome. Why wouldn't you want to invest in what you're spending all this time with? They want you to spend so many hours on this class in this semester. So that's what we're trying to do. And, thinking about, right, if you're doing this thing, what we might use to like evaluate or judge this, right? And again, I'm not silent. You're not doing everything. I'm coming back with feedback. I'm coming back to say, I think you should do more here. I think you should do less here, right? If you're struggling with your proposals, I'm happy to help brainstorm and get those details in there and to tell you what I think works best, to give you options, that kind of stuff. You're not alone. And I am not going to change overnight, right? So I'm not going to do all of this and set you up and then show up one day to class and secretly all along I've had a secret plan for how to grade you. And you missed it. You failed. You didn't do it right. Wahahaha. I know it's hard to trust me. I get that. But I'm going to pay up. I promise. Like, you're going to see as we go along that I follow through, and I also do things differently because I'm asking you to do things differently in the process. And if you ever have any questions, or you ever feel like, oh, that's not fair, or oh, you didn't, whatever, we'll work through it. Just come talk to me. We'll figure it out. Okay. So I'm hoping this helps. And I made it a video so that you could watch it or watch parts of it if you're like, I don't remember what she said. Um, and it's tempting to feel bad that I didn't make this earlier. But also, I'm not sure I would have been this articulate about it. I think I'm saying these things, but I then realize when I get feedback from students that it's not always as clear as I think it is. So I'm hoping at the point we're at now that this comes at a good time and you can spend, 20 minutes watching this and it'll help clarify things. Okay. So if you need me, let me know. Otherwise, keep working and especially focus on that first one so we can get it done in the next few weeks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And let me know if you need anything. Thank you.